couldn't see. I couldn't see the light. Yeah, whenever I look up, I couldn't see the sky. Yeah, yeah. Sometimes when I'm standing, it seems like I walk for miles. Yeah, my heart could be crying, but in the middle of the smile. But then I climbed the hills and saw the mountains. I heard it heavy because I was lost. I felt the strong winds and a small voice saying the storm is over. Over now. I can see the sunshine. I feel the heavens. Come on and set me free. Whoa, whoa. Now, in the midst of my battle, all hope was gone. I'm turning the rush curve and felt it all alone. Yeah, yeah. Every now and then, I feel I'm gonna lose my mind. Hey, I've been racing for years, but still no finish line. Hey, but then I climbed the hills and saw the mountains. Hey, I hold the hell because I was lost. I felt the strong winds and a small voice saying the storm is over now. Hey, the storm is over in your life. Hey, I'm feeling the heavens. Won't you come and set me free? Hey, I have a maker. He formed my heart before even time began. My life was in His hands. Hey. I have a Father. true. He calls me his own. Hey, he will never, never, never leave me. He will never leave me, no matter where I go. He knows me, my name. He knows my name. If you are in your house, lift your two hands. He knows it. He knows. I feel the glory coming down. He sees everything. He sees all the tears that falls. And he hears me when I call. He knows me, my name. He knows my name. He knows my every thought. He knows my every thought. He sees it. He sees all the tears that fall. And he hears me when I call. He knows me, my name. is filled with hate and overflowing. Father, enough things are going round ya. It's wickeder than before. We really check that we could have run things, but it not look so anymore, no. Come down, Father, come down. Come down, Father, come down. Oh, yeah, beg you come down, Father, come down, hey, come down, Father, beg you come down. But I know that you won't let your chosen people suffer. I know you'll never let us down, no, no. Many times I could have picked up a gun, I could have go out the street and play big gun. That's no fun, ain't no fun, oh no. Cause I think, what would happen if the other man thinks the same? Then bullets fall like rain. It's no fun, no, no, it's no fun. Oh, I see greed and I see selfishness. Every man is for himself. Only you can talk to them, Father, cause they listen to no one else, no. Come down, Father, come down. I beg you, come down, Father, come down, Lord. Talk to the hearts of those responsible. Let them know their actions are displeasing.
Yes, indeed. Come down, Father. Come down. Let's get some blessings in Trinidad and Tobago. Let us, of course, recommit to rededicate. And indeed, of course, in the name of that one, whether you prefer, of course, the Gita, the Bible, or the Quran, and any other good book that provides the moral, ethical, and spiritual needs of the typical human being, but all roads lead to the same place, which is, of course, that place of bliss, that place of righteousness, that place of saying ultimately that we are one in the human family and that we must be our brother's keeper, and that we must, of course, also in that regard assist each other in the whole, of course, a village council saying, if I can help somebody as I pass along, then my living shall not be in vain. Yes, indeed. And with that, of course, I say a welcome tonight. The corridor transformation is here, dedicated specifically to the east-west corridor from Carenage or beyond to and right through the east-west corridor along the northern range, both the foothills and the windward side or the leeward side and windward side, straight up, of course, to Toko in the east, and of course across the Boca to Tobago, we consider to be the most easterly stretch or dimension of that geographic and physical space called the east-west corridor. That is the dedication. Of course, where the largest amount of the population of Trinidad and Tobago concentrate in density that has become part and parcel of the reality of Trinidad and Tobago. Yes, from Chagaramas in the west to Toko in the east in Trinidad, and of course extended over the Boca or the Bocas to, of course, Tobago. That being as it may, have a wonderful, I trust we will have a wonderful time tonight, whether in the east, west, central of Trinidad and northern Trinidad, as well as, of course, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are viewing at this time, or when you would have downloaded at your own convenience, in whatever part of the world you are, a pleasant good day to you. Yes, indeed. Of course, the existential threat to our country continues to loom large and with intensity. You see, there would have been no need for the Minister of Finance to, of course, cherry pick and in such a short space of time after the presentation of a budget to suggest, of course, that people didn't understand the budget and started, of course, to tell us all the goodies that were presented, and that was the subject of a press conference. We understand what is happening here. We know the desperation. We know, of course, the attempt to try to blindfold us. We know the attempt, of course, to try to make us wear blinkers or blinders so that we can focus on those so-called goodies that the government would have enunciated or pronounced in its 2024 budget. We know that the possibility that an early election is looming and possible. We know that the government has, of course, outlived its usefulness. We know that those within the government have recognized this. We know that they have lost all credibility and validity, and therefore would attempt by their very major objective, their power mongering, and secondly, their intent to stay in office, and even prepared to engage in a auto coup, a coup, yes, a auto coup. Of course, I will always have to express and clarify, is a situation where a government in office attempts to stay in office even though they, from all of the evidence surrounding them, have been rejected, and the tolerance level of the electorate and the people have been waning. They know that, and they yet still would try to use the institutions of state, whether it be the EBC, whether it be the DPP, whether it be the Police Service Commission, whether it be the Public Service Commission, whether it be the multiple ministries that comprise, and I should say represented, of course, in the cabinet of the country, whilst they continue, of course, in their unrelenting quest to distress the population and to get unmerited wealth and, of course, distribute it among party hacks and those who they prefer, and rather in a very bizarre exercise in nepotism, cronyism, and self-serving agendas under the guise that they are pursuing a course of action that they believe can sufficiently hoodwink the population by engaging in an amorphous but nonetheless a very selective and narrow exercise in political patronage. You see, Rowley and they understands what is the meaning of political patronage, but they would stretch it to the point where it is so damn illegal, it is so damn abusive, it is so damn saturated with vindictiveness that most people may not be able to discern the difference. So they believe and so they think. But what is clear is that they are realizing that there is a cadre of individuals who will not subscribe to that level of betrayal, that level of anti-democratic conduct, that level of blatant and unadulterated abuse of public office, of misbehavior in public office, of recusals within the cabinet, of an unprecedented, nowhere in the Commonwealth one has seen that, and in any, I must say as well, a so-called autocratic or non-democratic, or indeed those states that you consider to be pariah, no way. We have seen such a devastating assault on the treasury of a country as this administration under Dr. Rowley, claiming that somehow he has legitimacy and that he has the right to abuse us in the way that he has over the last 8 years, and then come in our faces and pretend that that is not happening, and create at the same time phantasmagorically, creating at the same time diversion, a deflection to, of course, and at the same time accusing others of that which they had to the trust reposed in them, consequential of the questionable as it may be, but the fact is that they allege the government of Trinidad and Tobago consequential of the 2015 and the 2020 general elections. Nothing more, nothing less. But I want, of course, to make and create and project some clarity, because I think from this morning, I don't want anybody to be puzzled or in any way be ambiguous or in doubt. When, of course, we say something on the corridor transformation, it must be so pellucid, it must be so conspicuous, it must be so well articulated that no one will have any doubt. They must not be faced in or placed in a situation where they have some kind of ambiguity about what was said. So let me clear what I myself late in the program this morning recognized and attempted, of course, to clarify or to address or adjust. And that is when I spoke of the matter of OAS this morning, and the fact that the PNM was the one that literally employed OAS. There might have been some mix-up with the dates. So I want to make it clear that when I spoke of the 4 days before the May 24th general elections, I see you're going again. No, not 2020, 2010. Sorry about that. Well, you see, so everybody is subjected to mistakes. So let me repeat that again. When I spoke this morning about the elections, and let me put the year first. I was referring to the 2010 general elections, when I said that the PNM under Patrick Manning, and that therefore Rowley was part of that. And 4 days before that elections of 2010, let me repeat, of 2010, you see, regurgitation as a teacher has its impact on the memory or the memorizing of any individual. So 2010, the PNM under Patrick Manning, just before the 2010 general elections, about it of May of that year, 2010, they looked at the OAS proposal, which was beyond that which Rowley said that the PNM was prepared to engage any contractor for the construction of the highway to Point Fortin. They looked at the OAS they looked at the OAS proposal before the 2010 general elections. And it was 4 days before, on the 20th of May, because the elections was the following Monday, on the 24th of May 2010. And the most bizarre and the most, what I consider to be unprincipled, not that they were not the transition at the time, because of course you must have a transition period to the new government, the new administration coming in. But contrary to what we were told by Dr. Rowley and CNN, self-praise, and of course attempting to deflect attention from themselves and the PNM as some kind of mecca of virtue and principle, it turns out that it was even worse, as we heard in the try, of course, to have a second shot, or put another way, generate another level of so-called investigation to try to bamboozle and to hoodwink and to deceive the population in a typically classic case of attempting to make us fools. When he, of course, announced that he would put the issue to the Joint Select Committee of Parliament with respect to infrastructure, because he is so concerned about the content of the report of Rowley Smith. In fact, Rowley Smith has now been rewarded with a contract through the Ministry of Industry to represent us in the United States and Canada. Rewarded. He wasn't concerned. Issue of the current Minister of Housing. Yes, the bald-headed lady. And the one that of course, bought fertility medicine. And of course, with the credit card that was issued to her. And vanity, as far as I'm concerned, vanity in the sense that, not that if you take your own money, fine, but you cannot take the state credit card and purchase, of course, beauty products and so on, wigs and so on. That is unprincipled. That is not for your enhancement in more ways than one. Your increased possibility of fertility, as well as enhancing clearly that which she would have some difficulty enhancing, are talking about her physical appearance. But that is a different story. But what I'm saying is that Dr. Rowley wasn't concerned about that. He sophisticated weapons that went viral. In fact, he defended, of course, and up to today, Al-Rawi have not said that those were his children, but Rowley said so. And because he's prime minister, he believed that he cannot account. Well, I want to tell him that only the president, under our arrangement, under our constitutional arrangement, is exempted from the criminal justice system. It's just a matter of time for him. Son, about the decision to close down Petrotrin, that has put us in financial, not just straits, but impending disaster, having regard to the unavailability and the difficulty in getting foreign exchange for small and micro businesses. Today, he wasn't concerned about that. He was only concerned about the cabinet making a decision consequential of the fake oil matter, projected to the population and well received, I must say, with a high degree of deep concern by the opposition leader. He wasn't concerned about that. He wasn't concerned that it was unethical, immoral, wicked, dangerous, and illegal, frankly, and not in the best interest of the people to put his own lawyer, Michael Kwamina, to be head of the petroleum company that emerged from the fragmentation of the then Petrotrin. He wasn't concerned about that. Totally immoral and unethical. He wasn't concerned. And today, as the head of the National Security Council, he's not concerned that the Police Service Commission is now dragging its feet. It's now tardy. It's now, of course, procrastinating in terms of the investigation of the fake oil matter where his name was being called. No, he is therefore not concerned with the projection and the image that this government is engaged in the perversion of the course of criminal justice in that and other matters. He's not concerned. He is not concerned that Bliss C. Prasad, he of course having made an intervention, and instead of forwarding the shortlist that would have included Gary Griffith's name as a potential renewal of his commissioner portfolio, commissioner of police portfolio, and instead of course, the president then, Paula May Weeks, forwarding that list to the parliament for the normal process to take place, it was in fact in reverse. And Bliss C. Prasad took it on its way back to the Police Service Commission, of which she was chairman, and who was intercepted by Rowley, and clearly for a revision of that particular list, and that at least there was some pieces unethical, wrong, and that therefore was not prepared to take part, to participate in that undermining and that constitutional irregular, and that is I would say a soft word, but that constitutional travesty, that constitutional illegality, and cause, of course, the absolute resignation of the entire board of the Police Service Commission on that occasion. And I want to say this: if you look somewhere in the system today, these very players, particularly Bliss C. Prasad, she is somewhere in the system eating off the coffers of the country and keeping her mouth shut. Don't tell me I know what I'm talking about, because it was a former acting commissioner of police, Philbert, locking up those young people in Bitam under the Manning administration, and interrupted my own campaign in 2007 when I was contesting the seat for the UNCA in Laventille East Movant. And in the midst of all of that, sent police to arrest me for what turned out to be. But he made it a storm in a teacup when my estranged wife reported, and only because I was in the fray and in the elections, reported to them that I beat her up on Prince Street Yeah, I went through that, and Philbert was behind the scenes, rooting for the PNM. And I'm saying so without fear of contradiction. I had court closed for many reasons, of course, as you know. Philbert was behind that. And he gave them a car and all to come up by my elections office to witness the event. And then I was slammed with 6 charges that I beat up, among other things. In fact, when the magistrate saw it, they said, well, what is this? He said, what is this? How you could charge the man twice for the same thing on the same day, and so on. So inside of that, there was, of course, 2 charges that were similar. 6, because the impact, the propaganda or a UNCA candidate is now before the court for, it doesn't matter how serious the crime is, but the impact would have been at the cusp, on the cusp, or just before that elections. I know I don't talk vike or irresponsible. I usually based my utterances on personal experience by and large, because there can be nothing more edifying, much more educational than, of course, experience. And experience, as you would know, is the best teacher. So Philbert was behind that travesty, that attempt, of course, to project an image of the UNC, and of course at that time Pandey was leading the charge in the 2007 elections. Yeah, of course the matters were dismissed, but it had a tremendous psychological, I mean, no matter how solid you are psychologically, and no matter how firm and indurate you may be in terms of matters of a psychological nature, and in circumstances such as those where the whole world, the whole country, and of course at the end of it all, people knew that it was frivolous, it was stupid, it was a woman who clearly saw an opportunity to damage a demand that she may or may not love. I don't know what kind of love is that. I try to fathom that. But eventually, of course, we had to be estranged. We had to separate. But the fact of the matter is that that occurred, and Philbert was involved. I say so because Philbert is now chairman of the Airport Authority. So I'm not talking by guess. He is chairman of the Airport Authority, and may not be generally aware of it. So that is why I can say categorically and without fear of contradiction that somewhere in the system, Blissy Prasad is eating a food. Just as how they find, of course, a food for Justice Vento to eat. He, of course, coming out of the Integrity Commission, resigning in 2015, when Rowley presented those bogus and those figment of his pernicious, evil, diabolical, and wicked, and unrelenting, savage intellect and imagination, as he presented those pieces of paper in the parliament, and Vento as vice chairman of the Integrity Commission, the Integrity Commission of which he was a part and vice chairman, said that those things are nonsense, as was confirmed 3 years later. Too late. The die was already cast, and Kamla Prasad Bisesa unfairly was evicted from office. But the salvation and the vindication came 3 years later. But that is how they operate. So in my case, the immediacy of the impact, the mere fact that the police put their hand on me, handcuffed me, cry me down, of course, to the Sinclair station, and then a day after take me to the court was sufficient to get Rowley and their agenda going, the PNM agenda going, as these people are prepared to compromise not only their own integrity. Because I ask the question, I am not going to be the kind of fella to sit there and let them take advantage of me or take advantage of the people by extension. No, I can tell you, whilst I was at the Sinclair police station and I asked the question, well, what am I here for? And if it is that my estranged wife said that I beat her up on a particular day, people, I asked the police the question, well, you have not asked me anything, you just come and hold me because she said so. And then I posed the question to them, suppose I was in another place which I can prove, suppose she said that I was in Port of Spain, and I, on that day that she's alleging that the incident took place, I was in Toco, or worse yet in Tobago, or worse yet farther afield. What would you say? Ability as far as an investigation is concerned, of course, the right for me to defend myself even before a charge is made. Yes. The rule of law, we must insist under the balance, under the checks and balances that are required for both investigators and those who may eventually be defendants, and of course those who may be complainants or people who are accusing people. You just don't do that just like that. Natural justice will not allow that to happen. Justice will not allow that, and the police were prepared, of course, to be that biased. And of course, and when of course they said and they accepted my argument, because when they said where it was, I told them that I wasn't there. I can prove that I was in Toco on the day on which she said the allegations occurred. So they said, all right. And then of course I said, well, I could leave now. And then I proceeded towards the exit point, and they said, no, I can't leave, because they got instructions from on top. Philbert, he was not then acting commissioner as yet. He was head of, I think, the fraud squad or something like that at that point in time. I provided them, I say, courtesy the police service commission with vehicles to witness the police raiding my elections office. I am not talking ad hominem. I am not one that is that irresponsible. So I'm saying to you that Philbert is now the head of the airport authority. Just as how Ventor is now the lead commissioner in some bogus, amorphous, and yet to be fully explained, but yet still $11 million already allocated for a commission of inquiry into the acquisition of land for the highway to Point Fortin under the UNC Kamala Prasad Bisesa administration. It is most despicable and abuse. That is barbaric. That is literally inhumane. That is Neanderthal actions. That is caveman action. But as we always know, evil could never prevail over good. Good will always conquer. It's just a matter of time. 2025 will come. So I said all that to of course, make the point. Make the point of the abuse, the unrelenting abuse that has become stereotypical of this administration. and that they are prepared to engage in a auto coup to stay in office. And so I am not surprised that Imsbert is trying his best to try to pacify, try to placate, try to, of course, whimsically and amorphously and attenuously trying to make us see a reality that does not exist. Do not be fooled by them. Do not be fooled by them. Of course, we must, of course, touch the question of the wooden ladder scenario. You have the wooden ladder scenario, yes, purchased for what, about $1 million by the fire service. We also have, of course, the situation of the electronic anchor braces and the escape of this fella. Yes, my namesake, a fella called Smith, not me, a fella called Smith, not me. In the case of the trafficking case that he eventually was convicted of, and it's a significance for our integrity and our efforts, our effort that has been so paltry as far as the American State Department is concerned, that on every occasion we were being reduced and eliciting the wrath of the State Department of not cooperating as far as human trafficking is concerned. And so we are on tier 2, even though, of course, we were given a blight last time for him. So they eventually convicted someone. Guess what? The person escaped with, of course, an ankle bracelet too. With an ankle bracelet. And Hines, before he resigns, given some kind of cock and bull story, some kind of irksome, you get a headache when you hear these fellas talk. Because as I said this morning, they are good at describing the event, the circumstance, the issue at hand, and somehow projecting that they are not the ones to deal with the matter, even though they are the ones to deal with the matter, because we paying them, and they said that they have the capacity to address the socio-economic and psycho-cultural challenges that is Trinidad and Tobago today. Yes, it is an oxymoron, built-in contradiction, but that is the level of what I consider to be buffoonery and idiocracy that Rowley has imposed on the people of Trinidad and Tobago over the last 8 years. Idiocracy, government by idiots, quite apart from their kleptocratic disposition and their incompetence and impotence to manage the affairs of the country. A bunch of ne'er-do-wells, a bunch of chronic miscreants, and in the case of Rowley, a category by himself, a serial sociopath that knows no limit, no boundary, as he pushes the envelope in a quaint exercise of attempting at all levels to try to use the office of Prime Minister and believe that could help him when he would have had to demit office ultimately, he and his bunch of kleptocrats, thieves, in other words, thieves. But tonight, of course, as I promised last night, and on a Sunday, we try to, of course, provide additional information, always in the irrefutable column or domain. And I want, of course, to focus once again on crime, but to bring some very simple solutions as well at the end of it all. You see, there's nothing new really under the sun. I've been there and done that. The problem here is that when you have people or who pretend that they know, or who project an image of authority and know-how, and they turn out patterns, inept, and total and absolute criminals, but yet want to stay in office so as to deplete as far as they can, once they're there, our resources that belongs to all of us, and make the kind of decisions that are inimical to the interests, particularly of the vulnerable in the society, and create more vulnerable people by their policies and programs, by the deprivation that agenda that they would pursue as part of their policy in order to satisfy their personal pockets, friends and family, through nepotism and cronyism under the guise of political patronage. You know that they are dangerous, and therefore the existential and the present danger to Trinidad and Tobago is Rowley and his bunch of what I consider to be idiots and kleptocrats. Idiots and kleptocrats, people, and we must see them for what and who they are. Let us go back, of course, to the question of crime and criminality, because we cannot leave that off the agenda. They would like us to do that. That is why he is making all of these bold and what I consider to be anachronistic or nostalgic statements. That matter of OAS, he brings it back like a fella, of course, who have a new wine but putting it in old bottle and trying to make it new, sell that to us. We are not going to be victims of Dr. Rowley and his party's limitless, bottomless propaganda agenda. And you know what is propaganda? It is different from advertisement. It is pure attempt to deceive and to generate a reality that simply does not exist. Let us go straight, of course. I think we must call out Rowley for what he is, and we must tell the PNM once and for all that we are on to you, and that you are a despicable group of individuals that cannot be trusted, that they are impotent and incapable of managing the affairs of the country, and that we must understand that we have a duty and responsibility as a nation, as citizens, to do exactly this: to listen, to compare, to analyze, to assimilate, and to act ultimately. And we must act in our best interests. Let us look at Dr. Rowley's confession long time ago. Today you will believe in the hemisphere, America, Canada, and elsewhere, wherever he could be accommodated. Understand, he's going out to Qatar. For what? For what? They're not going to give us gas. Even though, of course, they are probably the second largest provider of natural gas in the world. But he's going there because he wants to end his days in the office of Prime Minister. That is the only reason. He wants to end it like a shooting star. It eventually go dim. Well, in his case, the dimness of a jail cell is most appropriate. You know what I say? I say the dimming in a jail cell is most appropriate for a fellow like Rowley, who has done us such unlimited evil just over 8 years. But let's hear him.
The people of this country are quite correctly holding this government accountable to secure the country and to make you feel safe. Right now, the Ministry of National Security is the largest single allocation in the national budget. We are losing the war against the criminal elements, but we hold the government accountable, and the government must be held accountable. The country is awash in blood. There isn't a news item in this country where there isn't a good chance that a major part of the news is who killed who. We take the advice from you, the people, and when you have had enough of what we have done, you know exactly what to do. You know what to do. When you have had enough of what we have done, you know exactly what to do.
Can you equate that confession with what is happening today and Dr. Rowley? The minimum you can say that the man is mentally deranged. He's sick. Of course, he reminds me of the Latin expression non compos mentis, of unsound mind. But really and truly, none of those really apply to him. He is a blatant and unadulterated sociopath of a serial nature. Because how the hell you can tell us that? And you will hear more. He will tell you what to do, because he somehow would have, in the mix of all of that, or in the midst of all of that confession, say that if it is that you are not satisfied, then you know what to do. You know what to do. But it has to be a situation of reciprocity. Firstly, Rowley has to understand that the people are dissatisfied, and he knows that. And since he projected the challenge that you know what to do, it could only mean to get rid of him, to express our disapprobation or disapproval of his performance. But more importantly, he should now know that he must do the honorable thing in those circumstances. But instead, he goes up to America, he goes to Canada, and he's off again. And then, of course, expressing his damnation of the amount of murders in the country as if it's going out of style, and will not say that or give any overture or indication that he's going to blasted resign. So we have to make him resign, because all of that big talk, you know what to do, was merely talk, cacophonous babblings, and of course very insincere and dishonest and dishonorable. Let's continue.
You know what to do. You know exactly what to do.
Yeah,
you know what to do.
I personally know when I
isn't a news item in this country where there isn't a good chance that a major part of the news is who killed who. We take the advice from you, the people, and when you have had enough of what we have done, you know exactly what to do. You know what to do. When you have had enough of what we have done, you know exactly what to do. You know what to do. You know exactly what to do. You know what to do.
I personally know when I represented here. I personally know when I represented here.
Listen to the narcoleptic, the sleeping Minister of National Security. Listen to him on the floor in another dispensation. And that is the quack. That is the asinine specimen of inhumanity. That is the, should I say, not just disappointing, but the unnecessary lump of protoplasm, which of course generated the manifestation of that absolute narcoleptic individual, only sleeping, indolent, lazy, and a total and absolute incompetent, impotent, as well as extremely loquacious, talkative, and then he goes to sleep, sleeping on the job of national security, and don't have the moral paragon of virtue to get the hell out. He wants to stay and be a menace to our existence in Trinidad and Tobago. Listen to him.
I personally know when I represented here, at least
he was talking about when he was the representative for Laverton East movement. And he is saying that he know, but yet still, as minister, I don't know what Rowley is thinking. But of course, as you know, birds of feather flock together. So unbridled loyalty is what he wants, because he wants to create a mafia syndicate that will raid the treasury, do evil to the people, and somehow he believes that the police will protect him. Well, I say to police and everybody else, this will never protect them. All of us, as Tobago did, as the 60,000 persons in the local government elections did, in favor of the UNC and Kamala Prasad Bisesa, all unfair games must be played over. It was unfair to Kamala, it was unfair to the UNC. And we see the kind of debauchery and the kind of retrogressive and oppressive policies that has typified the destruction, if we leave them there any longer, of Trinidad and Tobago, particularly for our future generations born.
Families who have to pick up their Jaji bundle from their home and flee, leave all that they had earned behind, because criminals pursuing them to kill them, and the society or the state unable to give them the protection that makes them sufficiently comfortable.
A few days ago, we had the very sad story of a 10-year-old boy losing his life to a gunshot injury in Arima, in his home.
He could tell you all what transpired.
2 persons shot dead.
He's the man responsible for national security. And he knows everything, but can't do anything about it.
A young woman recently found in the heights of Aripo, to great national consternation and pain. Just before that, a double murder in Faizabad, South.
And I want to say something about that which he just said before the Faizabad murder. He was talking to, of course, that very traumatic period when this beautiful young lady traveling in a vehicle and ended up, of course, the victim in the heights of Aripo, Andre, and the one before her as well, beautiful young ladies, vibrant, dynamic, clearly, and of course looking in the blossom of their lives and looking forward, of course, for a full life, suddenly snuffed out by some decrepit and evil and devilish individual. I say all of that and pause here to let you know that when Dr. Rowley was required, of course, to bring harmony, peace, and solace, and of course, to give some kind of empathy and sympathy. It was Kamla Prasad Bisesa that had to go to the crematorium where the service was being held and take charge and lead the country, whilst of course the sitting Prime Minister, a bald-head, ugly, totally devilish Rowley, who could not be found. She had to take charge and calm the country and to let the country understand that this too will pass, and that of course the pain, agony and trauma of the time, as young Andre Barrett was being laid to rest at the funeral of that lady, and Rowley cannot be found. Only telling me that all you don't understand Satan from the opposite of Satan. Or they don't understand that this fella is Luciferian. Yeah. Go on and hide, run. And then comes back and trying to attack Kamla Prasad Bisesa and everybody else for their incompetence when they are needed. They're gone. And you will see them, of course. I have no doubt in my mind that Dylan's stint in Venezuela is to try to set up some kind of asylum arrangement in Venezuela for Rowley. He can't stay here. Short to make a jail. So it's always important for just to interject that since he brought it up. But they're good at outlining the problem and somehow believing that they are not responsible, when in fact they are responsible because they're getting paid by us. Otherwise, get the hell out. What the hell are you coming and telling people that for? Tell us what you will do. But no, they come and they regurgitate what we already know, the pain, the agony, and the stress that families are going through, whether directly, indirectly, whether they are victims or that they are perpetrators. And we can go on and on in terms of the insensitivity and the inability. With all that money, the entire treasury at their disposal and the entire state apparatus, they could do nothing but come and tell us what we already know. Listen to more.
Trinidad. And this morning, reports came to all of us on the high street in San Fernando. 10:45 or so a.m.
Let's go straight, of course. Let's go straight, of course, to the level if you want me at this point in time to get into the corridor transformation. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Pleasant good night to you, Lennox Smith, and everybody on the line.
Yes, indeed.
Pleasant good night. Yeah, Lennox.
Yes.
So this morning when I call and I tell you about the cyber attack day, we affect the hospital.
Yes.
Right. I think today the UNC and the posing a question concerning that.
Yes.
And what I forget what they even mentioned and all too with the hacking at the hospital. That happened 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
2 weeks ago that happened because I remember one of the persons tell me that they nearly in get pay, and they said that the systems and them was down. Right? But the LC and them can't tell me nothing about that. But I ain't really call concerning that tonight. You want to call concerning? Earlier one tonight, I met one of those taxi drivers and then the H cars and them now from down point side here. And we want to find out. Because you see something happen before his eyes. We want to find out. When Rowley and them keep the opening ceremony for the highway in point 40 there, right? The area where they keep the open ceremony,
yes,
is alleged that normal construction fence off the area and block off that. So he trying to figure out who gives them the permission to secure that area. Because you see, he saw concrete truck come, they dig hole, the plant post something, and they put a watchman to make sure nobody can come and remove the post during the night time. So he asked the question, who give animal that area they to block off because he said the government pay to prepare that spot, you know, and all of a sudden a contractor come and get in. So somebody had to looking into that because he asked the question, who give them the permission to do that? Right? So I just say let me put that out there to somebody to see they can investigate that, but that area they you wasn't know how Namalco get it. Because the government spend money to prepare us for to open the highway because they had to send everything they spend money to job the precaution material, and he said that material they put in not cheap material, there's plenty money spent out there. So he was in the honor Malco get it. But I know that is a pattern with the PNM government because they already said them people in them was what? When you're in opposition, mafia, contractors, but yet them repay the benefit.
Yes.
Right? So I just say them call and put that in.
Right, very good, very good.
So these people in them get area right there. Something will not play.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So I just say them call and put that out in the open.
Thank you very much.
Right, so Dr. Listen.
Thank you very much. Of course, but people, you would know that, of course, Namalco was one of the contractors that was identified apart from, of course, Calco, another three contractors that Rowley and Stuart Young said in the commencement of their, what I consider to be their blightish or their curse on Trinidad and Tobago in 2015, claiming them to be part of a cartel. And then, of course, it turns out now that that cartel is costing us millions of dollars because Nabalco won part of their matter in court already. And there is, of course, an outstanding one. And what expects. And, of course, I was surprised, having regard to the vindictive nature of Rowley, that he called Namalco name. Yes, we will deal with that as a separate matter. And then, of course, we know that during the course of the local government election, when the question of how Balize House is being constructed, Rowley claimed that he met a bankrupt. That was bankrupt, not OAS. That was bankrupt. A PNM owing $4 million and hundreds of thousands to the Transport Service Corporation and, of course, the TV station that is now called TTT, CNMG, it was called at the time. And yet still, he billing a close to, if not more than, $100 million monstrosity at Balize House. And have the audacity, the fellow like me, whose responsibility it was to monitor that development. I have picture where Rowley could be seen as a consummate liar, deceiver, conman, and criminal. When he said up at Constantine Park for the rally of the PNM in the last rally that they had for the local government elections on the 14th of August, he said that no contractor worked on Balize House. A blasted liar. I have the picture of a subsidiary of Junior Sammy, the company that got that piece of the highway to construct, which fell into the swamp below. That company was working and pouring concrete on the basement of Balize House. I tell you, you have a lot of jail to make. A lot of jail to make. Yes, indeed. I know that some people are calling on my phone. I know Tobago would normally do that. So, Tobago, there was a charging, there's no charge in on the phone. So, they are making the necessary arrangements. So forgive me tonight. But the point I am making is that company of subsidiary of Junior Sammy poured concrete on the basement of Balize House, as saying so without fear of contradiction. And mind you, that is quite apart from the fact that through the Freedom of Information Act, I was able, of course, to get back a piece of information from the Ministry of Education, where Balize, the PNM, pushed back their southern fence and literally encroach on the Tranquility Government Secondary School property. They're so greedy. They're so abusive. And you're telling me that blue lights and silver bracelets doesn't outweigh them? The UNC are smarter, better, and much more what I consider to be passionate lawyers than these opportunistic political associated with the PNM lawyers that losing everything that is major, even though they have the support of the government and its juggernaut resources and position. But because we have an independent judiciary to a large extent, I have confidence in them. Because when, of course, my matter came up, as I said, with Filbert, the magistrate said, well, how is this? And eventually, of course, it was all the matters were dismissed, the remaining 5. But I made the point is too, in order to show where these fellas end up getting handsome eater food position by the PNM because of their connection to the PNM and were formerly in public life. And before I go further and continue with this buffoon, this despicable, unworthy lump of protoplasm that might have been better if it was a placenta as opposed to protoplasm, to be part of the placenta, a stillbirth. But we will deal with that. We have, of course, the former head of the Police Service Association, when he, of course, attempted to undermine the integrity and the viability and the electability of the UNC Kamala Prasad Bisesa administration in 2015, and of course was part and parcel and orchestrated the day of policing. The day of policing.
Lennox. Lennox. Check your audio, Lennox. Check your audio. I ain't getting any tube. I ain't getting any tube.
My father, Isaac Liverpool, and my mother, Edwardine Bartholomew, used to sing many songs and sankeys, so often that I learnt them all. A little more oil in the lamp, keep it burning. A little more oil in the lamp, I pray. A little more oil in the lamp, keep it burning. Keep it burning till the break of day. When he walked home from the garden with all his peas and his corn, under the stress and load of the day, oh, he would sing. And there was I, listening to him and hear him. I am a warrior out in the field, and I can sing, and I can shout, and I can tell it all about that Jesus died for me. When I get over yonder in that happy paradise, when I get over yonder in the field. And on a Sunday morning, we would walk to my aunt in Bethel, and when she would be making a pea soup, and she would be singing while the pea soup boiling. Oh, what sweet voices between my father and herself. While I yearned for the pea soup, and she sang, how sweet the name of Jesus sounds in a believer's ear. It soothes its sorrows, heals its wounds, and drives away.
People of this country are quite correctly holding this government accountable to secure the country and to make it feel safe. Right now, the Ministry of National Security is the largest single allocation in the national budget. We are losing the war against the criminal element, but we hold the government accountable, and the government must be held accountable. The country is awash in blood. There isn't a news item in this country where there isn't a good chance that a major part of the news is who killed who. We're taking the advice from you, the people. And when you have had enough of what we have done, you know exactly what to do. You know what to do. When you have had enough of what we have done, you know exactly what to do. You know what to do.
Yes, indeed, of course, my apology for that break in transmission in the sense of the audio. I thank that caller for, of course, informing us. I really didn't notice it on the system. But thank you very, very, very much for your, should I say, observation ability to make sure that we are on our P's and Q's here, and that every modicum, every morsel of the information that we take a lot of time to, of course, create and research, that it is brought to you with the greatest degree of, should I say, efficaciousness, as well as making certain that it is so packaged that you will have no choice but, of course, to apply your common sense and make the appropriate decision. At the end of the day, nothing could, of course, stop us from getting rid of Rowley, and they, no matter what they do. If there are 25 persons in a constituency and 25 legitimate vote in favor of the UNC, no way, as Eric William tried with the voting machine, you can't get excess. And therefore, with international observers like Guyana, that election will be rendered null and void, and we know that who attempted to thief the elections. So apart from, of course, this and other initiatives like this, to reach international organizations that are concerned with what? With elections. Because our democracy is under threat in Trinidad and Tobago today. Let's go back to narcoleptic Hines, who is a total misfit and a square peg in wrong hole. as far as this government, but the entire government ought not to be in office. So therefore, in itself, is a blasted square peg in a round hole. Irrelevant, ocious, and cannot be seen or deemed to be a viable option for Trinidad and Tobago moving forward.
Losing his life. The great national consternation.
We heard that already. We want to see what is
at the heart of a lot of even the street crime, the murders, gang issues over turf, drug deal gone sour.
All of them they know. They know everything.
Somebody didn't pay for a gun. Money is at the root of a lot of that evil.
So I've come to you today to tell you.
Now this man, you're telling me that something is cognitively and intellectually and cerebrally wrong with these fellas? He's Minister of National Security and goes, of course, to the Bad Street in East Port of Spain and talking to and literally praising someone who have been before or was before the court involved in gangs, knowing full well that it is the gang culture that is fueling, of course, the amount of murders, home invasions, and we can go on and on. Apart from the fact that they have not been able, of course, to bring policies and programs to excite the young minds to gravitate away from a life of crime. They see it as an alternative to not eating at all. But yes, Hines, and listen to him. And of course, you will see the man, Sunday is his name, who was before the court. I don't know if he's still before the court, but of course, a known gang leader at the time. Listen to him. Listen to Hines.
Tell Brother Sunday, I know in the ghetto you are a leader, and I look up to you, and I follow you. I have come here today to partner with all of you, when the police and the defense force seeing that video.
That's the Minister of National Security. No wonder why they run him out of the beatum under some heavy, dirty water. No wonder why. Yeah, you see, saying he comes to partner with the gangsters.
They know as a fact that some of you in the community have machine gun, because you are my brother, you are my son. I have come here today to offer you an opportunity. I have come here today to let you know we are prepared to work with you. And I want the leader that Brother Sunday is to take a decision and a position.
And people say to us, every day I get it, only I lock them up. I make it abundantly clear, we don't have the power to prosecute and lock up anybody. That is a matter for the law enforcement, particularly the police, on the advice of the Director of Public Prosecution. A lot of the murders have to do with petty little fights among family members. A little fight on the street corner by the standpipe over some little football game or basketball game, and the next thing you know, a man gone for a gun. Singing Sandra said, may her soul rest in peace. Blood does run when things get hot. In the song Crying in the Ghetto.
There is the fear for safety and security.
Well, Heinz, if you know all of that, why are you so impotent, unproductive? Why is there an overwhelming sense of disappointment and fear that the government is incapable of managing anything, including crime and the security of the country and the securing of people's person and their goods, their worldly possessions? How come? You know all of that as minister. Let's continue.
For families in Trinidad and Tobago.
The opposition leader claims since Dr.
Singing Sandra said, may her soul rest in peace. Blood does run when things get hot. And the song crying in the ghetto.
There is the fear for safety and security for families in Trinidad and Tobago.
The opposition leader claims since Dr. Rowley took office, there have been upwards of 500 murders. But instead of addressing the country and important issues such as this, the Prime Minister is running from his responsibilities.
You have failed to deal with crime.
Mrs. Persad adds that the PNM government has not delivered on any aspect of their 10-point crime plan put forward in their manifesto.
We are losing the war against the criminal elements, but to hold the government accountable, and the government must be held accountable. Then you have had enough of what we have done. You know exactly what to do. You know what to do.
Because of the incompetence.
The opposition leader says so pervasive is the PNM's disregard for life that now a minister is threatening the lives of UNC members and supporters. She's calling on the Prime Minister to openly distance himself from the comments.
You have a minister advocating violence and murder. Prime Minister Rowley, tell us, do you agree or will you call in your minister and bring him to book?
She was referencing recent comments by Fitzgerald Hines, where he called on supporters to, quote, drive a PNM Balisade deep into the heart of the wicked UNT vampires and finish them off once and for all.
What you're doing with a man with that kind of record in the sacred and what I consider to be the significant seat of Minister of National Security, he couldn't make as Minister of Public Utilities. He couldn't make as Minister of Works. You put him where he has to interact of necessity with the subterranean societal nature. Subterranean. What you expect? He himself being, of course, a miscreant, obnoxious to the core, and incompetent to the hilt, and arrogant and contemptuous unlimitedly. What you're doing with that specimen of dotishness, ignorance, and indolence. One thing I know, he could run too bad. All the talk he have, hollow, and the underbelly of these fellas is clear. A bunch of cowards. Look at him run. Look at him run from his own constituents. Young fellas. But you put he there. You see, you making Trinidad and Tobago a papi show talking about Rowley. Rowley is the epitome of papi show. And he put, of course, like-minded people or like-character people. So what we have is a bunch of
but producers of papi show. An embarrassment for Trinidad and Tobago in high offices. That's what has happened.
The people of this country are quite correctly.
It is hilarious. I think I better repeat that again. I think it's very interesting. Bastard coward. I just said Rowley, he's head of National Security Council, and he wants to take over the office of Commissioner of Police and all of that, only because he's Prime Minister. There's a standing joke I always refer to in St. Babs, where a fellow called Sir Long-Term Barton hit Rowley one slap on the steps of Bali's house. And all he could do is watch him bad, but he's certainly a bad man. Only because he is surrounded with the legalities that his office imbues. Outside of that, when you see them on the road, like puppy dog, according to my mother. Watch him again.
The people of this country are quite correctly holding this government accountable to secure the country and to make you feel safe. Right now, the Ministry of National Security is the largest single allocation in national budget. We are losing the war against the criminal elements, but we hold the government accountable, and the government must be held accountable. The country is awash in blood. There isn't a news item in this country where there isn't a good chance that a major part of the news is who killed who. We take the advice from you, the people, and when you have had enough of what we have done, you know exactly what to do. You know what to do.
People say to us, every day I get it. All year lock them up. I make it abundantly clear. We don't have the power to prosecute and lock up anybody.
And when you have had enough of what we have done, you know exactly what to do. You know what to do.
If it is that who you're putting, when you have had enough of what we have done, you know exactly what to do. If it is a proven to be your equal amount, when you're putting, when you have had enough of what we have done, you know exactly what to do. That it come about, just as how you put them in, put them out, register and put them out. If it have done, you know exactly what to do. Show them no mercy, just as how you put them in, put them out, register and put them out. If it have done, you know exactly what to do. Show them no mercy.
Yes, indeed. Vote the tails out. That is what has to happen. Do like Tobago. 39 seats in Trinidad. We take all in favor of the UNC and Canada percent all. The East-West corridor must not be left out in this revolution that we must engage in, because they see us as a vote bank. These rapscallions. It's in India, it's in India. Remember I told you, of course, and I think we played it last night, but I think it needs to be reiterated. No question of the AV killing matter. Another conspirators, despicable, criminal misbehavior in public office and abuse of office exercise. Let's go straight to the lines. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Welcome to the corridor.
Lennox.
Hey.
Good night. I don't know if it's an app or the voice song like one of them horror movie villain and them.
Oh my goodness. Alright, thanks.
You gotta check it out. The game really scary movie. Song like scary movie 5 and 6.
Alright,
you gotta check it out.
Alright, okay. Boy, let me see what's happening there. No. Let me see. Alright, let me get some. Okay, that's that. Alright, you'll have to call me back and tell me if things has improved. I don't have the wherewithal to do it. Let me just see if I can get it on the side. Let me see if I can get it before, of course, we resume. Let me see. Let's see if we can get it back before we resume. All right. Is that all right now? We all right now?
Yeah, something better now.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, something better now.
All right, good. Thanks very much. Okay then. Thanks very much. Yes, of course. And I want to pause, of course, for a cause. I want to say that I really appreciate those callers who have such a keen interest in the development of Trinidad and Tobago. And of course, in your... All right, let's get here. All right, let me accept this one. Pleasant good night, welcome. Pleasant good night, welcome. Good night. Huh? The song in right now? Okay, I think it's better. Yeah, switch back. Yeah, appreciate that. Thanks. Yeah, thanks very much. I think it's sounding good now. Somebody just called. So enjoy it. All right. Yes, indeed, of course. So more than one person is, of course, concerned about the quality of the audio. So I'm really appreciative of that. And I want to say I thank all of you for expressing that concern. And that is why when I am on, I tell my staff, do not interfere with anything at all whilst I am on. Nothing around this studio desk because the slightest could, of course, trigger something that we never catered for. So once the fan is up or once the air conditioner is on, or once, of course, the set is set, I expect that no one to come around. But let me just, of course, take this call as well. I'm sure that a pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Welcome to the corridor.
Lennox,
good night. Good night. Good night to
Lennox, good night.
Good
Lennox,
night. Yay.
I expect my disappointment.
Go ahead.
So many people sitting on that live tonight and nobody could share the live. Lennox, I am now picking it up. I have been checking all the time, but you know the internet giving a lot of today, you know, but I guess a lot of people were experiencing it with the with Facebook, the whole thing, right? And then I know pick program.
All right, okay.
I am so disappointed.
All right.
You know, but Lennox, yes, what I want to say tonight, I know time is limited.
Yes.
And I will just say here tonight, Anne Morrow Lindsberg said, nothing is in the world is more dangerous than sheer ignorance and conscientious stupidity. And sometimes, like it's a harvest with ignorance and stupidity. Sometimes you just have to listen to some of them, you understand? And just lead them to their own device. And it's very rampant, it's very, very rampant now. I don't know what is wrong with some people, you know, but we just have to lead them, let them fizzle out like Rumpelstiltskin.
Yes.
Lennox, I sent you a post.
Okay.
With Basson Barrett.
All right.
Suddenly, Basson Barrett knows that we cannot take this anymore with the PN. After 8 years and being on the what team he was with them and then campaigning for see, he now knows the trouble people are facing in this country. But I just want to let you know, I know I won't go into it tonight, right? Because I know, as I said, every time constraint.
Yes.
But I just wanted to touch on it so you can read it, Lennox, and see the hypocrisy of these people.
All right.
And before I leave, I want to tell you something. When I was going to Pentaro this morning, I saw a billboard at the beginning of Mirage Street. Are you hearing me, Lennox?
Loud and clear, yes. Loud and clear.
All right. Okay. There's a billboard there with road repairs, secondary road repairs, right? They're going to do because Cantaro Village, which is from PNM, is like the bogus Going through there is like going through the Bocas. And on the billboard, the contractor assigned to fix the roads in Cantaro is none other than Rohan Sinan and best friend, Mr. Pai Ricky Ragunanan.
That's a
I want to know since when Ricky Ragunanan is a contractor to fix roads. And I am asking, since when? But somebody told me today he was the one that was responsible. I don't know. I start to be corrected for Petrotrin. Those houses that housing project in Petrotrin.
All right, so they compensated.
But if you see the road, right. Now, if you see the road, if you have seen the road, lead to his business place there in Santa Barbara Avenue. It was like a golf course, holes all over, and it's now smooth like a baby's beard. So you see, I will scratch your back and you will scratch mine.
Yeah, they are it again. There it again.
I don't have time for stupid people.
Yeah, there is a book. Yeah, there is the. That is the
right?
typical.
So Lennox. But I want to ask another question, Lennox.
Go ahead.
What happened to the 5 million that was found in the Bible? Where did money gone? When Mrs. Wasabi Sessa told Rowley it was very easy to rock the states and ask them for the serial number, who just given to the net. But there are more questions and answers, and we will ask them tomorrow night. Lennox, you take care, and people, please share the live. Thanks a lot, and have a good night.
Thanks for that. Thanks for that. And that is one of the challenges that I have. I assume, and I don't think I should leave it up to chance, that the people will do. At the beginning of every live, I will ask people to share before we start. Share. It's not too late now, but share, so at least they will see tonight's, they can benefit to a little later. After, share to your friend, your enemy, your compatriot, your families, and others that you would consider to be serious people who love Trinidad and Tobago, who have a connection to Trinidad and Tobago and really want to see Trinidad and Tobago advance. And of course, you could only do that by the knowledge, because how would you know something is beautiful? But you have to have a concept of what is ugly. We know what is beautiful. That is why we know that Rowley and his government is extremely ugly. Apart, of course, from the collective physical appearance of these people, never before in one place such a group of ugly people would have assembled, called a cabinet. But of course, enough of that. Let's get back, of course, to the reality. And as I said, with respect, of course, to A.V. Gillen, and that is the only based on, of course, the process of elimination, the process of a type of knowledge, a type of deduction, called deductive reasoning. So it's a kind of reasoning, deductive reasoning, where you have a physical things in front of you, and you can, of course, make a conclusion, draw a corollary. The same way you can use inductive reasoning. You may have a set of circumstance, and you can also draw a conclusion, as the courts normally would do when there is not enough witness or physical evidence. President, good night. Welcome.
Hey, good night, boy.
Yes, good night.
Right, how you going, all right?
Yes, I'm here. Mr. Cruz just called, and we just had a nice presentation from her.
I heard her.
Yes, okay.
Right, you know what I hear on the news tonight, Lennox?
Go ahead.
Senior superintendent, which she's saying on some reform, say that 88% of the homicides in the country are being committed by illegal guns. So So the message the man sending is very clear, you know.
Yes.
Right? It's only legal guns could get rid of illegal guns. That's all.
That's right.
So what is it? And I'm sure most of them homicides is home invasion and all kind of things.
Yeah, but
the same problem is giving the people their guns.
Yeah. So, but it raises the question as well that of course rendered buffoon, rendered stupid, rendered illogical, rendered lack of common sense when Rowley and the Minister of National Security would like to make us believe that somehow legal guns is the problem. You notice that? So that statement, I mean, debunks the nonsense because they want to get at Gary Griffith. That was the purpose, and therefore they will skew all the lack of common sense. Yes, in order to get at that target, and after that, all hell break loose. Go ahead, my friend. Yes.
So it's a clear message you man send it to them.
Yes. I'll pull it up.
Yeah, I hope I hope you get no trouble for that.
Well, I mean, he is at least he wouldn't lose his benefits.
Right, and hear this, you remember Bomber the Californian?
Yes.
Bomber treatment and all this thing?
Yeah, Bomber.
I hear all this say, you're going to win back Tobago in the election. You had to nickname me Bomber.
What's the name of the Calypso?
Bomber
Dreaming, right, okay, right. I'll try to pull it up. All right, I'll play that tomorrow night.
You have to nickname Rowley Bomber.
Yeah.
He can win back Tobago.
Of course not. But that's how that's his believing. That's his belief. Because he believed he could fool everybody in perpetuity. Yeah, go ahead. Yes, sir?
That Electoral will do all them kind of thing when I was in Bandi.
Yes.
I see him on that program. I ain't going to call the name of the program.
Okay.
But in that program, he's going when you take a product to get well.
I see.
So something was going wrong with him.
All right.
When you do wrong thing, you have to pay.
Of course, the ill you do, the evil you do must follow you.
Remember the song?
Yes.
Right. So, that's it. Take tomorrow, boy.
All right then. Okay. Have a wonderful one. See you tomorrow on the ground report. Yes. Bye.
Right.
Yes, indeed. Of course, there are those who I will accommodate on the phone. So, of course, no problem. And it's fantastic. It is beautiful. And, of course, it is always a pleasure. And I want the persons who are monitoring, of course, the audio, so you get the information very pristine and very clear and very pellucid and very with a high degree of what I consider to be clarity. And then, of course, please share. I will start that from tomorrow night, where I will be asking in advance, share the live. We are now on YouTube and Facebook, so you have two, and then of course we will be getting on other platforms in a while, but of course it took some time to adjust and adapt, but one thing we said, what we say we will do, we do, and what we do is because we would have said it. So please, but let's go straight, of course, to Franklin Khan and that confession, the most bizarre, the most, of course, a level of confession stating categorically that this PNM is a mafia syndicate and ought not to be. And of course, it is illusion, it is a delusion, maybe in a state of probably now permanent manic depressive psychosis. I'm talking about Rowley and his entire government. Manic depressive psychosis. They have lost the ability to see reality. Let's go straight to Khan.
What do I say about Petrotrin? The less said, the better. But I will tell you, the Petrotrin farm out and lease operator program has done extremely well. And I want to go on record and to the
on record in the parliament
has done tremendously well. A program called the Incremental Petroleum Service Contracts. It's a company called A&V Drilling based in Penal. They took the Catskill field about 3 years ago. It was farmed out to them by Petrotrin, making 130 barrels of oil per day. You know what's the individual production in Catskill now? 4,000 barrels per day. I know why it's 4,000 barrels a day.
Well, of course, I thought it was important to put up at the same time those who have contributed to the decision to close down Petrotrin. But in the meantime, I interrupted, of course, with the presentation of Khan. Let me just get that back. Yes, AV, right, good. Let me just get that there. Yes.
What do I say about Petrotrin?
Yes. Let's get them. Let's get all of them in the same boat,
but
so
I
to speak.
Tell you, the Petrotrin farm out and lease operator program has done extremely well. And I want to go on record and today praise one company that has done tremendously well. A program called the Incremental Petroleum Service Contracts. It's a company called A&B Drilling based in PNM. They took the Catskill field about 3 years ago. It was farmed 30 barrels of oil per day. You know what's the A&B Drilling production in Catskill now? 4,000 barrels per day. I know why it's 4,000 barrels a day. Because they have drilled 32 wells.
Crush! Crush! They're mad.
I want you to listen as I read for you what was taking place at Petrotrin under Dr. Rowley and this Minister of Energy. This is what they found on investigation. 1. Based upon the number of control issues identified during our visit to the Catskill field and our analysis of the sales tickets and GPS records, internal audit has concluded that the custody transfer process at the Catskill field has been compromised. This has resulted in the purchase of non-existent crude. This purchase of fake crude oil from Catskill is the main factor to Petrotrin receiving less oil than the volumes being recorded by the production department. Listen to this. Petrotrin has been paying the operator for oil it has not produced. They've been paid for what? Fake oil. Fake oil. The Prime Minister's best friend is getting paid for oil his company has not produced. But the Prime Minister is crying crocodile tears about the troubles at Petrotrin and about making Petrotrin more profitable, firing workers, restructuring and so on. Well, one thing you could do immediately is to terminate the contract of A&V oil and gas drilling. Terminate contract. Save that money. Based upon past production data, the audit team found that an optimistic estimate of the production from the Catskill field is between 1,400 and 1,600 barrels per day. So on average, being optimistic, that's what it is. But sales, as per sales tickets, average what? 5,000 barrels per day. So this man was overstating his production by such a vast amount. 5,000 barrels a day in the month of June alone. And we estimate that production for this month would have been overstated for this month alone by 90,000 barrels, which at a conservative $33 a barrel payment, the operator works out to overpayment of US $2.97 million for the month of June alone.
Kamala never wrong. You notice that every single time that she makes a statement of iniquity, of conmanism, of destruction potential and real, of abuse and corruption, she has never been wrong. What better protector of the public interests than anyone hope for or want?
Remember, this is going on for months. It is estimated for the period January to June, 6 months, 2017, Catskill overstated its production by at least about 400,000 barrels, and therefore Petrotrin would have had to pay them over 12 million US dollars.
What do I say about Petrotrin? The less said, the better. But I will tell you, the Petrotrin farm out and lease operator program has done extremely well. And I want to go on record and today praise one company that has done tremendously well. A program called the Incremental Petroleum Service Contracts. It's a company called A&B Drilling based in PNM. They took the Catskill field about 3 years ago. It was farmed out to them by Petrotrin, making 130 barrels of oil per day. You know what's A&B Drilling production in Catskill now? 4,000 barrels per day. I know why it's 4,000 barrels a day. Because they have drilled 32 wells since then.
Enough of the stupidity and the arseness that these fellas are engaged in. Conmanism and corruption. He tell us when he was confronted with the information, you know what he say? He can. He said that the owner of AV Drilling, he know him, but he's not his friend, and he don't know what a financer is. But Khan's daughter was a senator representing the PNM. This bunch of ne'er-do-wells, nincompoops, and people who believe that they can fool and fool and fool and fool and thief and thief and thief and destroy and destroy and destroy and displace and displace and displace and be as dishonest could be and be as dishonorable can be. The joke is on them, and eventually you will have the responsibility and the opportunity, just as the Privy Council had intervened and preempted, that they cannot continue with that level of travesty and evil that is the PNM under this fella called Rowley, a total sycophant, in the sense that he is a serial sociopath that ought to be in jail, as opposed to being out here to miserize or to distress and oppress the people of Trinidad and Tobago. People, we have come to the end of tonight's exercise. It was a wonderful exhibition of a number of issues that we were able to raise tonight. It is already 14 minutes past 10. I didn't even realize that we started on time, and normally I try to finish on time. But of course, we will continue with these and others tomorrow night. But before that, we have, of course, the ground report tomorrow morning. Andy, Mikey, and myself, as we continue, of course, to expose and to edify and to, of course, incite and excite the prospects that Kamala Prasad Bisesa and the UNC has to be the alternative, having regard to the fact that they were unfairly treated and unfair games must be played over. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. Of course, we are unable to recognize some of you, except I'm seeing Inchel is there as well, is there already, and one or two others, but I don't want to call any, otherwise I'll have to call more, and of course that will not be consistent with the equity and the symmetry that we like, of course, to display, and fairness display on the corridor transformation. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless, and see you on the ground report tomorrow morning, and of course tomorrow night. Don't forget, share, like. We, after all, we are now on Facebook and YouTube. We didn't have that before. Yes, we are going to have from time to time the imperfections of the system or the technology manifesting itself, but by and large we are doing well. As Confucius would say, the longest journey begins with what? a single step. Don't forget, of course, our Christmas hamper drive, and of course back to school as well. I cannot overemphasize that. A toy drive as well. And of course, just call the number that you're seeing there, not the one for the nightly exercise, not 337-6940, but the other one where of course my assistant will assist you. And of course, if you need some kind of help as well, once we can do it, we will. You call 336-6594, 336-6594 right now if need be, as you have the money or you have the source, and we will of course accommodate and oblige. Have a wonderful rest of the night once again. God bless. Bye bye. I trust that you enjoyed every bit of it, except of course for the little glitch.
Long prayer. He gave God thanks for the day in this manner. I must have the Savior with me, for I dare not walk alone. I must have His presence near me, and His arms around me thrown. Then my soul shall dare go ill. Let Him lead me where He will. I will go without a murmur, and His footsteps follow still. Oh, he suffered from high blood pressure, and when the nausea took him, and the giddiness, he never gave up. He even gave God thanks for the illness, singing all the time, blessed assurance, Jesus. That was
Chalky singing there, jumped us, yes, in a different mode, yes, jumped us.
Year of salvation, purchased of love, born of the Spirit, washed in His blood. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. This is my story, this is my song, praising my all the day long. But my mother was a Catholic, and when he sang his Baptist hymns and sang keys, she would counter him with a Catholic hymn. And so she was trying to shut him up. But she sang with a beautiful and sweet voice, and she sang, oh, come to the throne of grace, oh, come to the heart most pure, to Mary your hope of life, in whom salvation is sure. Oh, Lady of Fatima, hail, Immaculate Mother of Grace, oh, pray for us, help us today, the hope of the human race. And when somebody in the village died, or his good friends died, sometimes he didn't go to the funeral, but he stayed home and he sang. He was at the funeral in spirit. All meet again, shall we ever all meet again, on that great judgment morning, when the book shall be opened and the name shall be called. Oh, how sad it will be when I take my departure and I turn away from heaven for not serving my Lord. And when he had no money, and he was depressed, or he won nothing in the sweepstake, and poverty stared him in his face, oh, he turned to his God, and he sang. Love lifted him. I was singing deep in sin, far from the peaceful shore, very deeply staying within, thinking to rise no more, no more.
my eye.